Good morning. I invite you to rise in body or spirit and join in singing hymn number 16 in the gray hymnal. 'Tis a gift to be simple, hymn number 16.
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Ann Arbor. I'm Reverend Theresa Rohlck. I'm the Minister of Pastoral Care, and I am joined today in leading worship by Allison Halerz, our Pianist-in-Residence. Mike Halerz, our technology consultant and members of the AV team, thank you. By lay worship leaders Joe Libin, here, and Barbara Lynn, here. Director of Spiritual Growth and Development, Stella Anderson, here. And I'm joined by all of you watching on live stream and all of you present here in the sanctuary. Your presence matters, and we are grateful you are with us. Oh, yeah, and believe me, I am delighted to be able to welcome a new staff member today, the new Director of Music Ministries, Dusty Francis. You thought I forgot, didn't you? Let me just give you a little bit of highlights about Dusty. He grew up about 3 hours from here in a village of 600 people in Ohio. For reference, that's like the size of this congregation. He's the youngest of 3 and an uncle to 7, all of whom now live within driving distance in Ohio. So he's very excited to return to the Midwest after spending 9 years in New York City and 2 years in London. Dusty loves to hike and cycle and run and has already explored the property and some of the trails we have. And he loves art and theater and, no surprise, music. So do let him know if you're interested in joining the handbells or the choir this season. And again, welcome to this community. The welcome extends to all, especially anyone else who is new. And if you're online and feel comfortable doing so, identify yourself as a visitor in the chat, and someone from the online community will welcome you. And if you're here in person and want to join the newcomers' welcome, it happens right after this service outside these doors in the Jackson Chapel. Go out, up a little ways and to the right. There'll be someone there who can answer questions and fill you in a little bit on this congregation. And for any newcomer, we'd love if you fill out a survey so we can better connect with you. And you can find that at UUAA.org/newcomer survey. In the spirit of connection, take a moment to really see who is in community with you today. If you would turn and wave to our online friends. Back there above the clock are some cameras. And also notice who is around you. Is there someone you do not recognize? Make a point of connecting with someone new to you during social hour. Yeah. So radical welcome is more than just great hospitality, but hospitality is an element of it. And it's on all of us to make others feel seen and welcomed in what can be a daunting space to navigate as a newcomer. So as we move deeper into our time of worship together, let these words by the Irish teacher and poet John O'Donohue guide us. For courage. When the light around you lessens and your thoughts darkened until your body feels fear turn cold as stone inside, when you find yourself bereft of any belief in yourself and all you unknowingly leaned on has fallen, when one voice commands your whole heart and it is raven dark, steady yourself and see that it is your own thinking that darkens your world. Search and you will find a diamond thought of light. Know that you are not alone and that this darkness has purpose. Gradually, it will school our eyes to find the one gift your life requires, hidden within this night corner. Invoke the learning of every suffering you have suffered. Close your eyes. Gather all the kindling about your heart to create one spark that is all you need to nourish the flame that will cleanse the dark of its weight and festered fear. A new confidence will come alive and urge you toward higher ground, where your imagination will learn to engage difficulty as its most rewarding threshold. We are gathered in community. We are gathered for worship.
We are in a time of deep and significant change in our congregation. And I, like many of you, am feeling unsettled, maybe a little uneasy and uncertain. We've had to say goodbye to members and friends that have moved or have died or have drifted away. And we've also gotten to say hello to new faces and new families. We've also experienced and will continue to experience a stream of staff transitions. I'm reminded of the ship of Theseus thought experiment posed by philosopher Thomas Hobbes. Is anyone familiar with this thought experiment? Hobbes asks the following question: if you have a ship and gradually, over the course of many years, you replace every part of the ship, is it still the original ship? Or something entirely new? Are we the same congregation that we were 100 years ago, even though every person that was once part of the congregation has been replaced by somebody new? Communities are, by necessity, fluid. They evolve and they adapt. They mourn and they welcome. And they shift and they expand. So, are we still the original ship? I think so, because what remains constant, what makes us us, is not just the people that make up our community. It is also our shared vision for a more just and peaceful world and our commitment to being a people of love and action. And of course, the ritual of lighting our chalice binds us together. The resilient flame is a reminder of our ties to the past, to our ancestors, as well as to the future, to those that will carry on the quest for justice and peace in our world. This morning, in honor of the spirit of change, I'm delighted to welcome Dusty to light our chalice. For those of you that are worshiping from home, I invite you to light a chalice of your own and share your location with us in the chat, or you can simply write "Chalice lit," that we may be together, if not in body, then in spirit. Together let us say, "We light this chalice for the light of truth. We light this chalice for the warmth of love. We light this chalice for the energy of action. We light this chalice for the harmony of peace." Thank you, Dusty. I like the sound of that. Another constant, another reminder that we are still the original ship is our covenant, spoken together with care and intention. We are not a creedal faith, but are bound instead by our relationships with one another, by a shared commitment to honor the inherent worth and dignity of every person, and to always lead with love and compassion. Our covenant is a reminder that we are part of a beloved community. So whether you're joining us for the first time, or whether you have these words memorized, please join me as we say together, "The spirit of this church is love, and service is its law. This is our covenant with each other, to dwell together in peace, to search for truth in love, and to help one another." Philosopher Paul Brunton encouraged people to plant seed thoughts and wait and work patiently, knowing and believing in the inherent power of true ideas to grow in their proper time into mature, fruitful existence. There is a lot that we can't control or predict, but we can imagine and dream and hope. And most importantly, we can take action. Our story for all ages this morning celebrates the power of cultivating a mindset of optimism and limitless possibility as we navigate life's challenges. I Am Thinking My Life, written by Allison Atwater, illustrated by Stevie Lewis. I am thinking my life every day. I am creating a universe. I am communicating with the world. I think stars. I see stars. I am stars. I think myself smiling. I see myself smiling. I am smiling. I am sculpting my world. I am clay. I am motion. I am light. I am what I think. I am planning my world. I breathe meaning into my life through my thoughts and then my actions. I am the architect of my dreams. I think myself joyful. I see myself joyful. I am joyful. But then, sometimes, I think storms. I see storms. I am storms and thunderclouds and tears. But then, even though it's difficult, I search and I search inside myself, and there it is. I think sunshine. I see sunshine. I am sunshine. And the clouds and the thunderstorms roll away from my mind. They have no power and I can think anything. I think myself dancing. I see myself dancing. I am dancing. I think myself building. I see myself building. I am building. I think myself drawing. I see myself drawing. I am drawing. And look at my creations. I think beauty. I see beauty. I am beauty. I think affection. I give affection. I am affection. I am powerful. I am radiant. I am loving. I am creative. I am. I am thinking. I am seeing. I am becoming. I am thinking my life. I am thinking my world. The end. And now is the time in our service when we sing our children and youth to their programs. So please follow me out of the sanctuary to the Foz Chapel for the last session of the summer season as the congregation sings with love.
Every Sunday, we engage in the mindful practice of our weekly offering, when we pause to lift up the gifts of gratitude and generosity in our communal life. Once a month, we extend this practice out into the community, sharing the collection with a group whose goals are dear to us and whose values align with our own. Today, our collection will be shared with the Michigan Unitarian Universalist Social Justice Network, known to us as MUUSJN. Here to give us an overview of MUUSJN's impressive work is Executive Director Randy Block. Please join me in welcoming Randy to our pulpit.
It is truly an honor to be here with you. You do represent the core values of Unitarian Universalism, which drive my heart and which offer goals for us to keep fighting when it gets tough. Social justice, as it says in your congregation's website, is at the core of our congregational identity. Over the past 20 years, the Michigan UU Social Justice Network and your congregation have shared common justice goals. They include getting out the vote, working for reproductive justice, LGBT rights, economic and environmental justice, and more. MUUSJN is a statewide network of over 2,000 people from 24 UU congregations and our allies. And our mission is to work together for justice. It's pretty straightforward. This is, again, a very short presentation, but during 2022, with support from congregations like yours and with memberships from people like yours, we achieved some important milestones. Our volunteers collected over 8,500 signatures to put voting and reproductive rights on the 2022 ballot. We had weekly phone and text banking because we knew that the election last year was kind of important, and that we wanted people to know that their vote did count. So we had weekly phone and text banking, and we were able to reach 564,000 people to vote and also to support LGBTQ+ rights. And we published dozens of action alerts on a variety of issues. There are so many issues that one person can't do them all, but we can be part of a larger network of organizations and people who help feed in what we need to be responding to. So again, I'm grateful to you all to be part of that bigger network. So here are some things that we've done this year and some things we're hoping to do next year, and again, being very brief with this. Our network advocated for legislation that overturned a 1931 law that would undermine the right to an abortion and reproductive services in Michigan. This is a major focus of us this last fall, that 1931 law. We helped pass legislation that banned discredited and harmful conversion therapy for LGBTQ youth. And just recently, earlier in July, we were notified that we were receiving 2 grants from the Unitarian Universalist Association funding program to promote justice for Native Americans in Michigan. And we have an agreement with the Native American community in Michigan that we would be a partner with them on educating congregations about the Native American cultures, but also working to stand up for racial justice toward Native American people. So it's more than a land acknowledgement. It's a partnership, and it's going to be working for racial justice. And the other grant, and we're probably going to get another one, but I won't tell you because we're due to have the notice coming here tomorrow. But the other grant had to do with supporting congregations in their discussion of the 8th principle, and I believe your congregation is in that process of thinking about the 8th principle. So that's another thing that we're trying to provide information and support to congregations throughout Michigan to look at and consider whether they want to adopt the 8th principle, an anti-racism position. So those are some highlights. I guess I can't help but saying that we were approached also if we would be interested in expanding what we do with reproductive justice in Michigan by a grant from the Michigan Voices, which is a Black and Brown-led group. So all of this said, I'm here to thank you. With support from people from this congregation, we look forward to continuing to be a UU force for justice in Michigan. It's important. Unitarians sometimes get invisible. We're out there doing this work, but people at the policy level need to know that they're Unitarians who carry forward the value of respect for the worth and dignity of everyone. And thank you for your generosity in today's shared play collection, and we look forward to working with you and your congregation in the years to come. I'll be out, and I've got a table in the back, so if you'd like to discuss more or get more details from us, I'll be back there. So this is my word of thanks and for the opportunity.
Thank you, Randy, for that report, and for all that you do to uphold the values of our living faith. It is an honor to share our collection with you. There are a number of ways to give this morning in support of MUUSJN. As the ushers pass the baskets, those of you here with us in person may leave cash or check donations. Please make out your checks to UUAA and add "Share the Collection" to the memo line. For digital options, you may text UUAA to 73256 or visit uuaa.org/giving and select "Share the Collection" for the fund. Thank you for your generosity. With our gifts to MUUSJN today, we join hands with our UU kindred to amplify our voice in this, our beloved home state. This morning's offering will now be gratefully given and received. As our ushers come forward, I invite you to please rise in body or in spirit as you are comfortably able. And please join me as we say together the words of our dedication. To the work of this congregation, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action, we dedicate our lives and these our offerings. Thank you. You may be seated.
If you would, settle into a space that is comfortable for you, whatever that might mean. It may be standing or seated, if it helps to move around. Your eyes open or closed. Feel your breath. in whatever way breath comes to you. And we'll have some moments of a guided meditation with moments of silence in between. And let us move from simply thinking about how we want to be in the world to actually embodying that thought. Let's try to close the gap between our heads and our hearts. Think worthy. And see worth in yourself and others. You are worthy. Think beauty. See beauty in yourself and others. You are beautiful. Think kindness. See kindness in yourself and others. You are kind. Think compassion. See compassion in yourself and others. You are compassionate. Think love. See love in yourself and others. love. You are loved.
Let me be part of the love you give. Let me be part of the love you give. Let me be part of the love you give. Let me be part of the love you give. Let me be part of the love you give. Let me be part of the love you give. Let me be my heart to all that I seek. Let me be part of the love you give. Open my heart to all that I seek. Let me be part of the love you give. Open my heart to all that I seek. Let me be part of the love you give. Let me be part of the love you give. Let me be part of the love you give.
Good morning. It was a beautiful meditation. Change is coming. What do we need to imagine? Last week, we held that question in mind as we heard stories about our fellow congregants' journeys to our General Assembly. We listened and learned as they shared their stories of inspiration, their iterations of concern for the direction our denomination is moving in. We asked ourselves, as individuals, as a congregation, as a faith, what do we need to imagine to be prepared for a future worth living in? In concert with that idea, I'd like to ask this question: what do we need to feed ourselves in order to help ensure a more peaceful, loving, hopeful, heart-centered future? Ultimately, we have a choice in the ways we show up for ourselves and for others. And as such, I believe we need to make responsible choices about what we feed ourselves and what stories we nourish each other with. I believe we need to choose to live today as if we are going to flourish tomorrow by feeding ourselves nutritive content, stories of success, triumph over tragedy, actions that overcome apathy and inspire belief. Belief in yourself, in your community, belief in your fellowship of faith. You must feed your future heart. There have been seasons in my life when I've struggled in one capacity or another, awash in feelings of failure. And during that time for distraction, I'd watch videos of other people failing over and over again in a multitude of embarrassing ways. I pummeled myself with that predictable pain and discomfort because not only was it familiar, it fulfilled a vision I had of myself as an unsuccessful, unhappy person. I consumed, unthinking, all of this shame and embarrassment and disgust. I fed myself failure, fear, and frustration. Is it no wonder that's all I got out of it either? Who was I to be successful? Who was I to make a plan for the future? Who was I to stray from this predetermined recipe? And so it is with the world. Who am I to make change when all around me, all I see is apathy, despair, and inaction? As a young adult, I struggled academically, embarrassed and ashamed. There was no way I could go to college, let alone become a teacher. Though I loved learning, I wasn't following the right recipe for my academic success. It took engaging with other successful academics and learning from them that I was able to apply some strategies to my own work and see results. I started a new feedback loop, one that showed me that hard work over a long period of time was something that I could actually do. I could sustain effort and focus. I started reading success stories and watching videos that inspired me. And after semester 1's success, I was buoyed for semester 2. And when that went swimmingly, I started getting excited for semester 3. Instead of feeding myself the lie that I was not capable, I fed myself the evidence that I was successful, reviewing my grades each semester, relishing in every well-thought-out, hard-fought-for A on an essay or a test. And before too long, I actually believed myself and acted like my academic success was a goal I was focused on. I took the time and energy to tend to my future academic success because I finally believed it was possible. I regularly kept watch for and celebrated my successes, and I applied the strategies I'd learned, despite the sometimes lengthy path to the payoff. All of that work for future Joe, who would later walk to pomp and circumstance, graduating summa cum laude from San Francisco State University. Yes, thank you. But this was not the only arena where the surrounding images and stories shaped my lives and those of countless others. In just my short 50 years here on Earth, I've seen an enormous shift in the narrative around LGBTQIA voices and the stories being told about them. Where previously the stories were only tragic, violence-laced movies that punished LGBTQIA people for existing, let alone daring to be happy and fulfilled. Over time, as communities became more visible and active, the stories we heard began to change, and the narrative around what it might mean to be gay or transgender in North America became a bit less tragic, a bit less defeated, a bit more energized. In 1977, when I was but 4, Harvey Milk gave his famous Hope speech, recognizing the need for community visibility and support was fundamental to preventing a devastating loss of hope, to preventing people from giving up on themselves, on each other, and the world. He said, and I quote, "And you have to give them hope, hope for a better world, hope for a better tomorrow, hope for a place to go if the pressures at home are too great, hope that it will be all right. Without hope, not only the gays, the blacks, and the seniors, the poors, and the handicapped give up. If you help me get elected," he said, "it will mean that a green light is lit, a green light that says to all who feel lost and disenfranchised that you can now go forward. It means hope. And we know you and you and you and yes, you have to give them hope." He was speaking at a time when a newly constructed gay community center in San Francisco was about to be torn down to make room for a parking garage. He was speaking to the importance of the community center as a beacon of light and safety for a community in peril, a similar role many UU congregations play in their communities. He knew that the most vulnerable among us needed to feel safer, more hopeful, more free in order to keep living their authentic lives. They need to see other people like them living their best lives. They need to see hope and possibility for happiness in all aspects of their community life. Milk knew that in order for communities like his, like ours, to thrive, they needed to believe in the future, believe in their future, to believe in our future. And to do that, they needed to see evidence of future happiness unfolding in front of their eyes. Actually believing in the possibility of future happiness enabled them to make good choices and stronger efforts in the direction of their future safety. They were nourished by imagery of other community members living vibrant lives, providing the strength and resilience they needed to continue to fight for their rights and believe in themselves. In the stories they shared and in the actions they took, they demonstrated that the need for hope and to see and feel and believe in the reasons to hope for and act on a better future. Over time, through their work, this narrative continued to evolve, and gay and lesbian characters in TVs and movies did not die right away. Musicians who played with gender and other artists who played with gender and sexuality were actually accepted. And now, in 2023, there are out non-binary and transgender people serving in high levels of government. Not that that is the goal we should ascribe to, but just as a mention. These images of thriving LGBTQIA people made a difference in the hearts of other people looking for acceptance, nurturance, and growth. Straight and gay alike were bringing hope alive in all the actions they were taking because they believed in a future worth fighting for, in part because they could see how to get there by seeing and hearing and singing and dreaming about their future together with their community. They leaned into their future, into feeding it with direct actions in the present. These activists and justice-minded individuals took action in the moment, immediately as the need arose, all of which leading to their future happiness, safety, and fulfillment. Over time, they changed the messages they consumed about themselves, from degenerates to dignified members of society that supported and welcomed them. They took action, liberating, revolutionary actions because they believed in their future happiness and their worth, because they saw emerging examples of it in their everyday lives. They saw their strength reflected in each other and in the world around them. They were nourished with the hope they generated in their actions. Committed to a future that included them, they fought for their rights through countless revolutions because they believed they belonged there, here, in the future, alive and well, and they fought and rested and loved and changed the world. Nearly 5 decades ago, Harvey Milk spoke about hope, inspiring others with his words and his deeds. And today, someone like climate activist Greta Thunberg is doing the same. As a young person, she was inspired to take deliberate, decisive action because she saw a problem in the world due to a lack of awareness about climate change. She thought our future was important enough to dedicate her life's mission to educating people about climate change. And in spite of the enormity of the crisis, Thunberg still speaks of hope as something one can earn when she says, "Hope is not something that is given to you. It is something you have to earn, to create. It cannot be gained passively by standing by passively and waiting for someone else to do something. It's taking action. It's stepping outside your comfort zone. And if a bunch of kids were able to get millions of people on the street and start changing their lives, just imagine what we could do if we did it all together." By creating this narrative that a bunch of school kids could do this amazing work of inspiring millions, Thunberg allowed millions of people to rearrange their thinking on what is possible. Millions of people, young and old alike, saw evidence that they could do powerful things. Stories about what could be done about climate change began to emerge. Strategies and resources were shared. And Thornburg famously said, "Adults keep saying we owe it to the young people to give them hope," not unlike what Harvey Milk said. But she continues, "I don't want your hope. I don't want you to feel hopeful. I want you to panic. I want you to feel the fear I feel every day, and then I want you to act. I want you to act as if you would in a crisis. I want you to act as if the house is on fire, because it is." And as the climate justice movement grew and expanded over time, she later said, "When I'm taking action, I don't feel like I'm hopeless and that things are hopeless, because then I feel like I'm doing everything I can," she said. And that gives me very much hope, especially to see all the other people all around the world, the activists who are taking action, who are fighting for their present and for their future. Thornburg understood that seeing others doing important justice work gives other activists hope that their work and their actions are showing that they're doing the most they possibly can to make a safer future. They're feeding their future hearts by acting now in the best interests of their future selves. Another part of feeding your future heart means believing in your future self enough to take care of your present self now. And if we carry the responsibility collectively for empowering each other, then we owe it to ourselves and to our future community to take care of our physical and mental needs now. We need future you. The children we just sang out at the beginning of the service need you. Their children need you. Without obscuring the tragedies of the world from our view completely, may I suggest that you curate your story menu to include those of hope and triumph, complicated stories of reconciliation, justice-oriented stories that align with our values. For if we feed and fertilize that heart, that spark of divinity in all of us, that which brings us here week after week, for everything in us that calls us to rejoice, that's what will grow. Give us strength, inform our decisions, nourish our souls, and empower us for the struggle ahead. Change is coming, and as a justice-oriented faith, we UUs are called to cultivate the future, to help prepare ourselves. When we see other people doing the work, planning for and strategizing towards a sustainable future, we can be inspired, hopeful, buoyed, strengthened, and emboldened to make great decisions and to take bold actions for ourselves and for our community. Thank you.
I invite you to rise in body or spirits and join in singing hymn number 299 in the gray hymnal, "Make Channels for the Streams of Love," hymn number 299. Make channels for the streams of love, where they may broadly run, and love has overflowing streams to fill
As we part ways today, I want to remind you that you are held and nourished here in this sanctuary, in this community of seekers and justice makers. Whether together or apart, know that you are connected to a web of support, of loving, helpful people who are feeding their future hearts with loving actions today. Draw on our strength, and may our actions generate hope where there is despair, peace where there is fear, and comfort in your times of need. Amen.